Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you all for joining me again. Today it is for Friday, April 12th, 2024. So, for such a big day, actually quite light on news. Let's go right into it. We've got our favorite risk indicator, the MMRI. We are right below extreme level of risk. So, kind of went into that territory for a bit and pulled back yesterday. And why did some of these things happen? Well, we had the relative strength of the dollar and the 10-year yield both shot up above levels that the market likes, showing a bit of the instability that we're kind of moving into. So with that, at the moment, the fear greed index has moved back slightly into the greed area. So we're watching a bit of buying. So if you look at the stocks right now, basically green, the Dow is relatively flat. But the interesting part is that we've also got the volatility index, gold and oil, all green. It's unusual to have all of these on the same side. They're generally indicators against one another. However, we've got this strange mix going on today at the moment. So when these markets open, they could take a turn. We'll have to watch for the direction. We've got a few things that could affect that. We'll go into that. So right now, futures, if you look at those, they're kind of telling a slightly different story. Today, we are expecting consumer sentiment, the major bank earnings, import prices, and we're watching this interesting dynamic between gold, the volatility, and what's going on with basically equities or the stocks. So, calendar is prior to market open. We are getting the import price index, which is basically an addition into inflation as well, possibly. So we've got consumer sentiment, and then in the afternoon during the last hour of trading, we're getting Fed presidents speaking so they can move the markets with basically their sentiments. We're going to watch for a bit of management as we're heading into the weekend. So we've got, could be very volatile towards the end of the day, that last hour when volume picks up. So we've got United States large cap stocks. They had a large weekly outflow. Basically, they dropped quite a bit, and we'll see what they do. We're still in an uptrend. Did not break that. However, there was a bit of a basically correction. So we're going to keep an eye on those producer prices. So we have banks and central banks. The news on that. So the Fed is approving $1.3 billion in merger of two New Jersey banks. So as we were talking about before, there's more that will fail, go bankrupt, or merge, or be purchased by the larger banks. So two more allowed to basically merge, Provident Financial and Lakeland, these both New Jersey banks, but they're, massive amounts of restructuring going on in the background. So I want to bring up the US Treasuries, the bond sales, because the 30-year had a lower than expected yield. So this is showing them kind of investors and what they're doing as far as when they purchase those yields, what they think rates are going to do. And we had the outlook for the Fed rates change. So this whole sentiment shifting a bit. We're still keeping an eye on Japan because they also repeated their warning against if the yen gets too weak, then it's causing too much inflation for them, and they want to hike their rates. And that would affect basically trade and overall. We've got Zimbabwe. I wanted to break this up because they are the ones that introduced, they've called it the ZIG. And this is the one that a lot of people are saying backed by gold when it's pegged to gold in other currencies, but you can't redeem it for gold, so it's not actually gold backed. However, this is interesting because when you have a currency so severely devalued, everyone is panicking and they're all trying to trade in the old fiat currency. And basically, this is right before what we've seen between Venezuela and Lebanon in the past. They ditch it like trash. It has no value. So today we're watching BlackRock because they're having earnings as well as Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo. Those are the big ones. So Citibank as well, pardon me. So we've got CarMax missed their earnings, so their stock dropped yesterday. And we've got Samsung They got a $44 billion chip plant that they're saying Texas, but if they do this, there's so many subsidies going on and huge sector. They know that it has to be a continuance for basically everything that's made is going to have a chip in it, including probably humans very soon here. So skipping over, we've got between copper and gold both hitting highs. So gold hit a new all-time high over 2,400 in Asian markets overnight. We'll see what it does today. But that's showing two things. One is first, basically showing inflation of trying to purchase something, the price going up. But second, also the volatility and fear trade. So on the war front, and I find this incredibly weak. And anyways, I'm not into major politics, but the United States is asking China to tell Iran to please not retaliate against Israel, because they know that if they retaliate against them, they're also retaliating against the United States. And so this is kind of a view that they have a hold on Iran through their trade. So this is kind of, as this says, Israel's consulate assault. This raises the stakes in the shadow war with Iran. So they're basically calling this out, that there is proxy war with Iran, and they're finally admitting this. So we've got a couple of more things. Lockheed getting a $4.1 billion contract fund from the US government, more tax dollars going into more war. So that's $4.1 billion that just got added to the bottom line that will go towards United States GDP, but not actually producing much. So also we've had this story from Sweden saying that they're worried about Putin attacking NATO. And I doubt that's going to happen. NATO basically is United States plus some friends. If you look at what is contributed, not just funding, but also manpower. So NATO, the bulk of troops are American. So anyway, I did want to bring up this before I let you go for the weekend, because I had spoken of this briefly during the eclipse. They wanted to shoot a couple of basically information gathering, if you will, scientific missiles in front of it, and someone had caught these. So first, if I had stayed in Dallas, this would have been the view. Very cloudy, would have been very disappointing. But this right here, this object, I can't show the video, it's not live in here, but it came from this direction, shooting across the eclipse in the front. Someone caught it on film, so I thought that was actually quite neat. So with this, I wish you all a green trading day if you're trading. It's not wrong to stay out of the markets or even trim positions at this time. We are at high risk levels. So while it's got more room that it can go to, if you are not comfortable with this level of risk, I encourage you to take a step back if that's what's appropriate for you. There's nothing wrong with that. So until I see you again, my friends, have a great weekend. Stay free.